Have you ever realized that your breath might be the doorway to peace? Not a big revelation. Not a life hack. Just a breath. Hi friends, welcome back to Life Lessons. Today, I want to invite you into something simple, but quietly life-changing. We're not talking about retreats, gurus, or chanting for hours. We're talking about 5 tiny moments in your day, yes, your regular day, that hold the power to shift how you feel, how you respond, and even how you see yourself. See, I recently read a story about a monk who spent an entire year sitting under a tree, simply watching the leaves fall. No agenda. Just witnessing. Sounds extreme, right? But what struck me wasn't the discipline, it was the message. Peace isn't something you find out there. It's something you notice and hear, when you slow down enough to actually see, hear, and feel your life again. In this video, we're diving into 5 mindful moments you can practice daily, drawn from gentle Buddhist wisdom, but adapted for modern life. They're easy, grounding, and surprisingly doable. And the best part? You don't need to change your whole routine. Just the way you show up in it. So if you've been feeling overwhelmed, scattered, or just longing for a little stillness, you're not alone. And you're exactly where you need to be. Before we begin, if this message already speaks to something inside you, go ahead and like this video, share it with a friend, or subscribe for more weekly reflections. And hey, drop a comment below. When was the last time you felt truly present? Let's walk this path together, with soft steps. 1. Morning silence, beginning with stillness. Have you ever noticed how most mornings begin with noise? The buzz of your phone. The headlines. The to-do list already crowding your mind before your feet even touch the floor. It's no surprise that many of us start the day already anxious, rushed, distracted, disconnected from ourselves. But imagine, for a moment, a different kind of morning. There's a story in Buddhist tradition that the Buddha began each day not with rituals or preaching, but with silence. He would sit quietly, just breathing, as the sun rose. Not speaking. Not thinking ahead. Simply being present with the newness of the day. It sounds simple, almost too simple. But this quiet beginning held everything. Today, we call this morning mindfulness, a gentle practice of tuning into the body, the breath, and the stillness before the world rushes in. It's not religious. It's not complicated. It's a return to your own presence before the noise begins. Let me share a short story. A woman I know, let's call her Sarah, is a retired teacher in her 60s. For decades, her mornings were frantic, alarm blaring, coffee gulped, emails checked before sunrise. After retirement, she found herself waking up even earlier, still wired by years of rushing. One day, she decided to try something new. She left her phone in another room. She sat on the edge of her bed and just breathed. 2 minutes. Eyes closed. No goal. Just listening to the silence of her home, the rhythm of her breath. She told me later, those 2 minutes gave me back a sense of calm I didn't even know I'd lost. Modern neuroscience supports what Buddhism has known for centuries. How we begin our day has a ripple effect on the rest of it. Studies on mindful mornings show that even brief periods of silence or breath-based awareness can reduce cortisol, the stress hormone, improve focus, and boost emotional regulation. In simple terms, start your day calm, and you're more likely to stay calm. But here's the important part, this isn't about perfection. It's not about becoming a morning monk. It's about choosing presence over autopilot. You don't need an hour. You don't need incense or mantras, unless you like them. You just need a moment. Maybe it's the 2 minutes before you brush your teeth. Maybe it's while your coffee brews. Maybe it's standing by the window, watching the world slowly wake up. What matters is the intention, to meet the day with openness instead of overwhelm. With breath instead of busyness. Here's a simple way to begin. Tomorrow morning, before you check your phone or speak a single word, just sit. Close your eyes. Feel your body. Listen to the silence, not the absence of sound, but the spaciousness behind the noise. Let yourself arrive in the day, gently. That's morning mindfulness. And that's a sacred act of self-respect. Because the truth is, most of us give our best energy to everyone and everything else, but rarely to our own peace. So, what if you claim just 2 minutes for yourself each morning? Not to be productive. Not to figure things out. But just to be awake, aware, and whole. What if the way you start your day could shape your entire experience of it? That's not just a question. It's a quiet revolution. And you don't need to do it alone. If you're someone who's always on the go, or someone who's been through many seasons of life and is now longing for a gentler rhythm, this practice meets you exactly where you are. 2. The mindful sip, finding peace in the ordinary. Have you ever sat down with a hot cup of coffee, and realized you finished it without tasting a single sip? It happens to all of us. You pour the drink, maybe even savor the smell, but the next thing you know, it's gone. You were reading emails, thinking about your schedule, half watching the news. The cup may have been full, but the moment was empty. There's a Zen saying I love. Drink tea as if it's the most important thing in the universe. Not because tea is sacred, but because the moment is. In Buddhist practice, drinking tea isn't just hydration, it's a meditation. A quiet honoring of what's right in front of us. This is called mindful drinking, and it's one of the simplest ways to bring presence into your everyday life. Let me tell you about a man named Robert, a retired accountant from Ohio. He spent most of his life working long hours, always on the move, drinking his coffee like it was fuel. After a health scare in his 60s, he began studying mindfulness, and one of the first practices he adopted was this. Every morning, just one cup. One chair. One moment. He would hold his mug in both hands, feel the warmth. Smell the richness. Sip slowly. No phone. No plans. Just that moment. He told me, I used to think coffee was what got me through the day. Now I see, how I drink it is what shapes my day. And here's what science tells us. When we engage fully with a sensory moment, smelling, tasting, feeling, we activate parts of the brain linked to calm, gratitude, and presence. Mindful drinking slows the nervous system. It tells your brain, we're safe. We're here. There's no rush. That small act, repeated daily, can lower stress levels, improve digestion, and even boost emotional clarity. And unlike meditation retreats or new habits that take weeks to build, this one begins with something you already do, sip. But here's the shift. We move from consuming, to experiencing. From autopilot, to awareness. So how do you practice mindful drinking? It's simple, so simple that your mind might resist it. It'll say, that's not enough. That's not useful. But sometimes, the smallest rituals hold the deepest impact. Next time you pour your coffee, tea, or even water. 1. Pause before the first sip. Look at the liquid. Notice the steam. Smell the scent. 2. Hold the cup with intention. Feel its texture. The temperature. Let it ground you. 3. Sip slowly. Taste fully. Let your breath slow down with the warmth. 4. Be present. No multitasking. No rushing. Just drink. Whether it takes 1 minute or 5, it's not about the time, it's about your attention. You'll find, over time, that this simple pause becomes something sacred. It becomes a doorway back to yourself, your real self. The self that isn't spinning with to-dos, but is quietly, peacefully, here. And here's something beautiful. Mindful drinking is portable. You can do it in a quiet home or a noisy cafe. At sunrise, or on a lunch break. You don't need a cushion or incense. You just need your cup and your awareness. So, let me ask you. When was the last time you truly tasted something, without rushing through it? Not for the caffeine. Not for hydration. Just for the experience. Because in the teachings of the Buddha, liberation begins not in some faraway temple, but in this moment. In the everyday. In the ordinary things we usually overlook, like a sip of tea. Now that we've slowed down with a sip, let's explore how we can carry this presence into motion. Next up, a mindful practice you can do on your way to the mailbox, around the grocery store, or even just walking to the kitchen. Let's talk about walking meditation, and how each step can become a path to peace. 3. The art of walking, a meditation in motion. Have you ever gone for a walk, and not remembered a single step? You arrived at your destination, but your mind was 1,000 miles away, planning dinner, replaying yesterday's conversation, worrying about tomorrow. It's common. Our bodies move, but our minds don't walk with us. But what if walking could be more than just transportation? Buddhist teacher Thich Nhat Hanh, beloved for his gentle wisdom, once said, "Walk as if you are kissing the earth with your feet." It's a beautiful image, soft, loving, intentional. And it points to a practice known as walking meditation. In Buddhism, walking meditation is a form of mindfulness in motion. It's not about getting anywhere. It's about arriving, again and again, in the present moment. Let me tell you a story. There's a man named Dave, a semi-retired engineer in Colorado. He walks every morning around his neighborhood, not for cardio, not to hit a step count, just to walk. But for years, he used those walks to plan his day. Sometimes, to stew in frustration. Then, during the early days of the pandemic, he came across a video on walking meditation. It sounded simple enough: focus on each step, each breath. He tried it one morning. At first, it felt awkward. His mind wanted to jump ahead. But after a few days, something shifted. I started to hear the crunch of the gravel under my shoes, he told me. I started to see the birds, the light on the trees, the breath in my chest. I wasn't walking to get somewhere, I was just there. That, in essence, is walking meditation. The journey becomes the destination. And science backs this up. Studies have shown that mindful walking, even just 10 minutes a day, can significantly reduce anxiety, improve blood pressure, and increase feelings of well-being. Why? Because walking while fully present helps activate the parasympathetic nervous system, the part of your body that promotes rest, calm, and healing. When you pay attention to your steps, you interrupt the mental autopilot. You begin to ground yourself in now, not in regrets or plans, but in the living moment beneath your feet. So how do you practice walking meditation? It's simpler than you think, and you don't need a forest trail or a yoga retreat. You can do it in your driveway, your hallway, even at the grocery store. Here's a gentle way to begin. 1. Start with awareness. Stand still for a moment. Feel your body. Notice your breath. 2. Begin walking slowly. Not dramatically slow, but with intention. Feel each foot make contact with the ground. 3. Breathe naturally. With each step, you can silently say, I have arrived. I am home, as Thich Nhat Hanh suggests. 4. Let go of destination. You're not walking to get somewhere, you're walking to be where you already are. The point isn't speed, it's presence. You might be walking to the mailbox, down your hallway, or through a quiet park. Each step becomes an anchor. Each breath, a gentle reminder, this moment matters. And just like that, your ordinary walk becomes a sacred space. You don't need special shoes. You don't need to clear your mind. You just need to bring your attention to your steps. Because in Buddhism, every step is a chance to return, to the body, to the earth, to this one precious life. We spend so much time trying to get somewhere, but peace doesn't live in the next appointment or the next goal. It lives here, in the step you're taking right now. So let me ask you. What if every step you took could bring you closer to peace, instead of stress? Not just during your morning walk, but at the grocery store, in the parking lot, on the way to the kitchen. What if you chose to be present, instead of rushing through? 4. Sacred pauses, breathing before reacting. Keyword, mindful breathing. We've all been there. A family member says something passive-aggressive. A driver cuts you off. A coworker dismisses your idea. Before you even realize it, the words fly out. The shoulders tense. The breath gets shallow. The mood turns. That flash of reactivity, it's almost automatic. But what if I told you there's a tiny space, a sacred pause, that could change everything? In Buddhist teachings, the breath is known as the first refuge. Before we speak, before we act, before we explode, the breath is there, quietly waiting for us to return. Just 3 deep breaths. That's all it takes to shift the moment from reaction to response. Let me tell you about Linda, a grandmother from Oregon in her early 70s. She used to describe herself as quick to snap. Whether it was with her adult children, the cashier who took too long, or even herself when she made a mistake, she felt like her emotions ran the show. One day, while listening to a podcast on mindfulness, she heard a simple practice. When you're triggered, take 3 slow breaths before you say anything. It sounded too easy. But the next time she felt frustration bubbling up, she tried it. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. She didn't say anything. Not yet. And in those few seconds, something shifted. The anger was still there, she told me, but I had space around it. I wasn't trapped inside it anymore. That's the power of mindful breathing. It doesn't erase the emotion. It creates room for clarity. Science confirms what Buddhist monks have practiced for centuries. When we pause to breathe deeply, even for just 30 seconds, it activates the parasympathetic nervous system, the body's natural calming response. Heart rate slows. Cortisol levels drop. Blood flow returns to the brain's reasoning centers. In other words, you go from survival mode to presence. It's the difference between reacting with heat and responding with wisdom. But let's be honest, when you're in the moment, breathing might be the last thing on your mind. That's why the key is to train your awareness now, when things are calm. So when tension comes, and it will, you already know the way back. Here's a simple practice you can try today. 1. Set a reminder. Once or twice a day, pause for 3 slow breaths, even if nothing's wrong. This builds the habit. 2. Anchor your breath. Feel the air move through your nose. Notice your chest rise and fall. Stay with it. 3. Name it. When something triggers you, silently say, "This is frustration." Naming emotions helps disarm them. 4. Then breathe. Just 3 deep breaths, before speaking, reacting, or judging. It may feel small. But like drops of water, these pauses add up, and soften the sharp edges of daily life. In Buddhism, awareness of breath is often the first step in meditation. But it's also the first step in transforming relationships, because when you can pause, you give others space, too. You become less of a storm, more of a steady presence. Less reactive, more compassionate. And that presence ripples outward, to your partner, your children, your co-workers, even strangers. So ask yourself, what might change in your relationships if you paused, just for a breath? It's not about being perfect. It's about remembering, you have a choice. The breath is always with you. Quiet. Free. Steady. And it can turn even the most difficult moment into a doorway to deeper peace. As we've seen, the breath can bring you back to yourself in heated moments. But what about the end of the day, when your thoughts are racing and sleep feels far away? In our final mindful moment, we'll explore how the act of letting go each evening can free your heart and quiet your mind. Let's talk about evening release, and the gentle art of closing the day with presence. 5. Evening release, letting go at the end of the day. Have you ever laid down at night, only to find your mind refuses to follow? You're physically tired, but your thoughts, they're wide awake. Replaying that awkward conversation. Rewriting the to-do list. Worrying about what you didn't get done, and what tomorrow might bring. It's like your body wants rest, but your mind is still running the race. But what if bedtime wasn't just the end of your day, but the beginning of your peace? In Buddhist tradition, monks end each day with a gentle, non-judgmental reflection. Not to criticize themselves, not to tally up success or failure, but simply to ask, did I live with compassion today? It's not about perfection. It's about presence. This quiet moment of end-of-day reflection allows the heart to settle, the mind to soften, and the soul to release what it no longer needs to carry into sleep. Let me share the story of Alan, a 68-year-old Navy veteran living in Virginia. For years, Alan struggled with insomnia. He tried pills, audiobooks, even late-night snacks. Nothing worked. One day, while listening to a Dharma talk, he heard about this practice of nightly reflection. Not analysis. Just soft awareness. That night, instead of turning on the TV, Alan sat on the edge of his bed. He asked himself 3 simple questions. 1. What did I feel today? 2. Where was I kind? 3. what can I let go of? At first, it felt unfamiliar. But after a few nights, something shifted. He stopped replaying the same conversations. He stopped judging himself for what he didn't finish. He began to feel released. I realized, he said, that peace doesn't come from tying up every loose end, it comes from loosening my grip. Modern psychology agrees. Studies show that reflective journaling or gentle self-inquiry at night can reduce anxiety, improve sleep quality, and even strengthen emotional resilience. Why? Because your brain craves closure. A sense that the day has been seen, acknowledged, and put to rest. But we often seek that closure by mentally rehearsing or reviewing everything in detail, which, ironically, keeps us wired. The Buddhist approach offers something different, observing without clinging. Acknowledging, then releasing. It's not about solving. It's about seeing. It's not about fixing. It's about forgiving. Here's how you can begin a simple evening release practice. 1. Create a soft space. Maybe a chair by the window, or just your bed with the lights low. No phone. No stimulation. 2. Close your eyes. Take 3 gentle breaths. Arrive in the body. 3. Reflect. Silently ask yourself, oh, where did I show up today, with presence or with love? Oh, where did I struggle? Oh, what can I offer forgiveness to, myself or someone else? 4. Let it go. Imagine the weight of the day sliding off your shoulders. You don't need to carry it into tomorrow. This is not performance. It's permission. Permission to let go. To rest. To be at peace with what was, not what could have been. Because here's the truth, every day is unfinished. There's always something we could have said better, done differently, handled more calmly. But the heart doesn't heal through perfection. It heals through compassion. And when you treat your day with compassion, you treat yourself with compassion. So let me ask you, how would your nights feel if you gave yourself permission to release, instead of replaying everything in your mind? Peace doesn't come from finishing everything. It comes from knowing you've done your best, and that's enough. You are allowed to rest, not because everything is done, but because you are worthy of rest. Conclusion: peace isn't something we chase. It's something we return to, moment by mindful moment. In this video, we explored 5 gentle practices inspired by Buddhist wisdom that can bring more stillness and clarity into your daily life. We began with morning silence, choosing to meet the day with calm instead of chaos. We learned to savor the mindful sip, finding presence in even a single cup of tea. We practiced walking meditation, turning movement into medicine. We discovered the power of sacred pauses, using the breath to soften our reactions. And we closed with evening release, learning how to gently let go instead of holding on. None of these practices require dramatic change. You don't need to move to a monastery or clear your calendar. You just need to show up, fully, in the small spaces of your day. Because those small spaces, they shape the quality of your life. So now, I invite you to pause and reflect. What's one mindful moment you'll bring into your life today? Maybe it's a quiet morning breath. Maybe it's one deep inhale before responding to someone you love. Whatever it is, let it be enough, for now. If this video stirred something in you, even just a little, we'd love for you to be part of this journey. Leave a comment. What brings you peace these days? Like this video. Share it with someone who could use a moment of stillness. And subscribe to Life Lessons for more weekly reflections like this. Let's keep walking this gentle path together.